I'll be happy.
Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt.
Pray with me. Pray with me. Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you for life. Lord, thank you for giving us this venue. Lead us, direct us, help us to make the best decision for the citizens of Beeville County and people passing through. Protect our first responders. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Wonderful. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. We're at agenda item number 4. Agenda item number 4 is where we recognize visitors. Thank you all for being here today, first-timers and returnees. At this point, this is not public comment. I will call agenda item for public comment, but that is not this agenda item. This agenda item is the recognition of visitors. If there are any visitors who do not want to address Commissioners Court, but do want to identify themselves on the record for us this morning, now is your opportunity. Are there any visitors who'd like to identify themselves? There's absolutely no pressure, and once again, thank you all for being here. Please come back. We'll move on to Commissioners Court opening remarks. It's Commissioner Lenny is volunteering to go first. So, Commissioner Lenny, you have the floor.
I'm not volunteering.
We appreciate your support. And moving on, Commissioner DeWitt. They wait. Go ahead.
All right. So attended the ribbon cutting at the Tynan Volunteer Fire Department. They showed us what they had done with the $30,000 we had given them. They had done in addition onto their fire department where they can have meetings and place to eat and congregate versus being inside where they park the trucks and have all their gear. So that was a good deal to go to. Also, Ray, thanks for getting brush in Blueberry Hill. People are happy about that, of course. Appreciate it. And then also, Ray and also Kenneth Mendoza for putting up the Chevron signs on Gill Ranch on that 90, where it was basically a the old dumping ground, which still happens every once in a while, but there's a 9-degree turn there. And if you're not paying attention, you can build up speed and then realize it's there at the last minute. So thanks for that. Also, TxDOT got the little barricade poles, if you want to call them, up there on 673 and 351 put up. A lot of people happy about that. And then also got with TxDOT, and there's some that are not, but
I'll give you that one.
yeah. But anyway, got with TxDOT, the street lights, they're outside 181 before the bypass leaving Beeville are out, and then once you get on the ramp to go to Skidmore, those street lights are out as well, a set of 3. And TxDOT is aware of that, and we're going to get that fixed. Also, I want to thank Sandra Guerrero Perez. She was with the Texas Workforce Commission. She spearheaded a cleanup with the youth. They have the youth that come in and do jobs in the summer with them, and she needed jobs for them to do. So she called, and the thing is they're 17 years old and younger. They cannot operate like a weed eater alone or anything motorized. They're by law they can't do it. So they're pretty much limited to picking up trash, whatever else, without operating a motorized tool, basically. So they went out and they did Olive Yard, part of Lehman, clean that up. So I want to thank Sandra for doing that, spearheading that. Went out with Robbie, assisted him on some illegal dumping, got that cleaned up. This past Saturday that we did a cleanup on more Emily Drive, East Paul, South Tyler, scraping the roads and weed eating and trimming the brush lines. We had overgrown limbs that would, if you had 2 vehicles passing, they had to scoot over enough that was going to scratch vehicles up. Got all that done. It was hot, man. Saturday was, I think, a heat index of 116. And we were out there from 9 to 5:30 straight. And we got it done. I want to thank Robbie Guerrero for that, Chris Maldonado, Ramon Mendez, Victor Gomez, and myself. And that was a long day, but mission accomplished. Also, in the last several weeks, we've helped out a large number of elderly and veterans with their yards and whatnot. Still doing that, helping them out. Got a hold of Mr. Mercer about the bathrooms outside the pavilion at the expo. Just to put it back on his radar. So, and then I got a hold of Domingo with the co-op about some projects at the expo. He said he's been really busy working at the Texas A&M and Corpus Christi A&M, as well as Del Mar. He's got a lot of projects going on there. So he's going to meet with me this week, hopefully, and look at the expo projects. I talked to Ray. He informed me that they're planning on, when they come this way doing the road work, they're planning on redoing Kinkler Lane, redoing it and resealing it. So that's in the works. And then last but not least, I want to commend Robbie Guerrero. Yesterday, him and his mother and his son were out at the cemetery of San Pedro, just visiting family and grave sites. And he had noticed a guy, an older man and a younger boy, they were dumping concrete, with lots and lots and lots of concrete, probably well over 1,000 pounds of concrete. And so he walked up on them and, you know, just nonchalantly, like, what are y'all doing? And, oh, we're dumping this concrete here. And so he identified himself, and the guy, obviously the guy's eyes was like, oh my God. And so he gave him 5 days to get it all picked up. And if not, he'll get with the SO and the JPs to take appropriate action. So thank you, Robbie. Appreciate it. And with that, I will pass to Mr. DeWitt.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that. Lots of little things going on in the precinct. Remind everybody that Pettis, the barbecue cook-off, competitive barbecue cook-off will be June 30th, July 1st. It's coming up. If you haven't been through Pettis lately, Pettis has been cleaned up. If you go along the highway from the old service station on, it really, really looks good. They've done a great job. I commend it. Melissa Sanchez and her husband have done a great job of getting Pettis in good shape down by the highway. Attended the Veterans Ceremony at the Mineral Cemetery. About 100 people there. Very moving. Lots of folks. People from all over the United States come back to Mineral for that cemetery celebration. And I have to commend them. They've had it every year. I've been several years in a row. But they keep that cemetery spotless. It is mowed, it's clean. They're getting ready to enlarge it, if you will. They're going to make it a little bit larger to the south. They have some folks that are passing away in other states that are from Mineral that want to come back home, so they're going to make arrangements for them. Was at the Normanna Fire Department fundraiser Saturday, briefly. Like Commissioner Lenny said, very hot. There were quite a few people coming through. They had some excellent barbecue. They wanted me to mention to the Commissioner's Court how much they appreciated that $30,000. I was also in attendance in Skidmore, Tynan. They use theirs to add on the building. The one in Normanna, they're going to use it. They've got a lot of electrical repairs they have to do. And I don't think we realized the impact that we had as a Commissioner's Court with this $30,000 went to all these fire departments. The rural fire departments can't raise money like the one right here in Beeville. And bake sales, fundraisers, donations. This is a big shot in arm. So I want to give my thanks again to all the members of the Commissioner's Court for what we did. I think we accomplished more than we even thought we were going to. Our road and bridge administrator has told me that they hope to get the old spreader fixed and operational again this week, and they'll start again on seal coating, putting down rock on the east side of 181 Business. Pick up Lenny Lane, Robert Lane, all that stuff on the east. They've already gotten Quail Trail, had to finish it by hand. I think we talked about it at the last Commissioner's Court meeting. And I've driven that several times, did a great job. It's fantastic. I've checked it out and it looks good. People are happy over there. Now, Commissioner Lenny mentioned the delineators that were put on the intersection of 181, 351 and 673, the Mineral Highway. I appreciate some people may really like that, but the calls I'm getting are just the opposite. and I'm getting calls because people in my precinct have to turn there and go. And what they're saying basically is when a big truck comes up now with a trailer, they have to go out into that incoming traffic lane to make that turn. And all good deeds sometimes have unintended consequences. So I'm not sure. The call I got was, why did the county do that? That's what stopped up here. The county didn't do it. That's TxDOT. You need to talk to TxDOT. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll be honest, we've all done a lot of driving all over the state of Texas. I don't remember ever seeing that. I really haven't. In any other part of Texas I've lived in where they would block off a lane, and I understand the legality of it, to block off the lane and force people to go the other lane. Anyway, with that, Judge, I will pass to my commissioner's left.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to do a little recognition here for April Cantu, or Madam Auditor. This past weekend, we had a situation at the jail where the air conditioners quit working. Actually, we've been working it for a while. And it got to the point where it was just too hot in the office, so Chief Deputy had to contact the train, and we're going to have to provide temporary air conditions for that unit. So it started out pretty expensive, and I think we're able to narrow the cost down to about $3,500 on rental AC. So we're going to have to deal with that for a week until they can get the AC unit back up and running. So still not sure how all this happened, but we'll be looking into a little bit more. It's too new of a system for things like that to be happening. But anyhow, thank you, April, for immediately approving the funds, which was in your remit to do that. I know the people are very happy. Just some general information. I had a meeting with TxDOT engineer, and a great meeting, discussed the overall process on how we as the county can work with TxDOT on getting problem areas identified, completed, and on their agenda so they can we can get them fixed. So great meeting. I now have a pathway on contacting TxDOT. I now understand the process that needs required to submit in writing to them so we can get them to the agenda. Examples like the lights that you were referring to, we had discussions around the lights, which they're aware of that as well. Turning lanes, repairing roads, tree blockage. But one of the biggest ones is how can we mitigate the intersection of 181 and 359 to help try and mitigate some of the accidents that are occurring there. You know, adding additional rumble strips, putting LED lights on the signage, just small things like that that wouldn't cost the state a lot of money but could have an impact and help reduce some of those accidents. So that's a big one that's on my agenda right now. But the good thing, had a great meeting with TxDOT. Attended the salary committee meeting earlier last week. One item, Commissioner DeWitt, we did talk about your request on getting the salary, so that was brought up, and we had some discussion on that. Good meeting. I also attended a pre-construction meeting on June 5th with the Tyna Water Supply Corporation and also our wastewater system improvements. But the scope of this work includes a 200 gallon GPM water well, renovation of an existing voltage storage tank, installing a fence, and then also a new diesel generator for the wastewater lift station. So we had the contractor in. Judge, thanks for attending. I appreciate that. But it was a very, very good meeting. It was facilitated by GrantWorks and raised a lot of questions, but they were able to answer the questions. So good piece. This week coming up, we have an insurance committee meeting coming up on the 15th, which will be good. There's a lot of good information will be coming out, and we'll present that to the board once it becomes available. I also want to remind everyone, if you haven't done so, today's the last day to protest property taxes. So you can do it. Today's the last day to get it done. So in Tynan, one of the areas that I'm doing, I have submitted a formal request for TxDOT to perform a light illumination study to determine the justifications for lighting by the state. So I'm trying to shift some of that cost from the county to the state, but they have to do a proper study. How long it's going to take, I'm being informed that could take a while. But haven't had lights in Tynan, I don't know how long, Commissioner, I think about 30 years or so. So 80. Okay, so this will be an uphill battle, but that's okay. Well, I don't remember those either. I got to share this. Just that, you know, the challenges that you run up against and trying to deal with the government. The feedback that I got from one of the gentlemen that I was dealing with, well, don't cars have lights now? Why do we need lights? Okay, you're right. All cars do have lights. So, but anyhow, that's just to give you a little flavor of some of the things that I'm up against and dealing with the government. So that's okay. We're going to get there. Also, in Skidmore, I'd like to recognize Roads and Bridges. They're conducting and performing some drainage work at County Road 610 in Corrigan, which is work needed, so Ray, thank you. Also, this week we're going to be reworking the culverts that were damaged during the rain that we had a couple of weeks ago. So that's at the very end of Corrigan Road, so those culverts are going to have to be dug up, replaced, repositioned, and then the road's going to have to be resealed. So that's going to require a little bit of effort, but Ray's team will get that done. Also, thanks again to the Roads and Bridges for coordinating with Steve Batchelor for the Skidmore graduation. Steve is the only one that had or maintained the proper licensing that allow us to spray for mosquitoes. So between Ray and Steve, we were able to get this done. Graduation was great. Also, was contacted about some illegal dumping on Sims Road. Been working with Mr. Guerrero and trying to find a solution to getting that done. He did submit two, I guess, formal requests, Robin?
Yes,
yeah, we did get a formal more, so we're gonna have to do a little bit more follow-up on that to see how we can mitigate that situation. That's kind of the highlights. More to come. Thank you, Judge.
Right now, or do you want to take all the time?
No, more to come.
Oh, in the future. I like that. That's a sign-off handle. I like that. See, I didn't know if it was Commissioner Witt more to come, or if it was Commissioner Levettis more to come. Future meetings, this meeting just in a minute. Go ahead, Commissioner.
You sure? Something I forgot to mention, when you brought up the jail, it clicked. The full body scanner is in and operational. And I was fortunate enough that I had the staff show me the scanner and how it works. For those of you that wonder what I'm talking about, full body scanner, if you're arrested and you go to our hotel, our jail, when you enter the sally port, after you've already been checked before you get in the vehicle, you're checked again when you get out. You come inside the jail, you sit on a stainless steel bench, you're frisked, you're searched, but not a full body search. Okay, full body search is very interesting, and I'm just going to let your imaginations run on that. People have been known to hide things inside their body and bring them inside a jail. Maybe a gun, maybe a knife, maybe drugs. And before we got this full body scanner, you had to do a search. Full body scanner, it's about 10 foot tall, and protocol says you have to be a prisoner to be scanned, so you can't go and say, I want you to scan me and see how it works. That won't work. I'm extremely impressed with it. You go in, you walk over here, you walk in this thing, there's a set of blue feet footprints that you stand on. There's a blue body in front of you. They tell you kiss the blue face. There's a round blue circle. You get real close to it, and they scan you. Okay, what does that look like? And the jail administrator said, let me show you one of the latest scans. And they have different degrees of radiation they can scan you, and they always go with the lowest one.
Don't resist arrest.
Anyway, they scanned a male, and he still had on his belt, and he had on blue jeans. And you could see all the rivets in the blue jeans. The metal rivets, those that wear Levi's or Lee's knows what the metal rivets are, and you can see the belt buckle. The bones, everything else in this person is and I'm going to stand up. He was standing here like this, and you could see everything that was metal or that shouldn't be there on this person. I'm impressed. I think what it has done for the county word gets out. I've talked to sheriffs in other counties. Word gets out, hey, they got a scanner in that jail. They don't bring stuff in like they were before because they already know you're going to be scanned. It's protocol. When you go through there, you're going to be scanned. And there's a permanent record of you. And next time you come through, they pull it up and here you go again. But I'm impressed. If y'all get a chance, take a look at it. They know what they're doing. They've all been trained on it now. And there's a database. There's a big computer screen, probably 3 foot long and about this wide, where they input the information, the person, the type of scan they're going to do, and then they put in their codes and the scan takes place. I'm impressed. It's another one of those items that I think the Commissioner's Court did good with, and it helps out the jail. It really helps out the Sheriff's Office, jail committee, the people that work in the jail, because now they have more confidence on the person they're incarcerating that they didn't bring something into the jail in their person. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes. A little button.
All right. I've just got a couple of things, so I'm not gonna. I don't want to. That's a good point to end on. But it's been quite a long break since our last Commissioners Court meeting, which is a rarity, I know, and I'm kind of surprised none of the commissioners thanked me for not calling a special called meeting. But I will remember that, and it's going to be a busy summer, I'm sure. But I had a few meetings in Corpus, with our Texas Workforce Commission, CEO Council, in CBCOG. Still a lot of money flowing into the state through these two regional organizations, which then get pushed out through us. So it's really interesting to be a part of that. And both entities want to focus on, because Nueces County is their largest member county, but both entities from their administration and the boards that we sit on have a focus on making sure that the rural counties are not only considered, but are I paid her like $20 to do that. It's just the timing was off a little bit. I had this point where I was going to pause, and then the music was going to go off, and then I was going to say, and now we have from the B County Sheriff's Office, but they ruined that. So we're still going to track kids, okay? And it's really important, just like Sheriff South made talk to y'all before the meeting, that when I say the magic words, y'all get up and scream really loud, okay? So I'm counting on y'all to know your mark and place and respond correctly. And then the Tynan Volunteer Fire Department dinner, ribbon cutting ceremony was a lot of fun. So I really want to thank everybody down in Tynan for including Commissioner's Court, myself in that. And I think that's really about it. Let's just move on to agenda item number 6, public comment. Are there any members of the public? Wait a second, this is where you guys stand up. And now, coming all the way from Galloway Road, Sheriff Southmaid, you have the floor.
Thank you, thank you. I just want to first thank you all for allowing us to be here. But really the reason we're here today is I want to introduce you to 21 future leaders of our community. We have 17. Today is the first day of our first junior deputy class for the summer. So we have 17 students here, and we have 4 that have been through actually been through multiple academies, but helping out today. But these are going to be some of our future leaders from B County. I just want to introduce y'all. Today they're super quiet, shy, what's your name? By the end of this week, they're going to be full of so much respect and confidence. It's going to be a whole different person you'll be meeting. We look forward to the handshake lessons. That's always been a hit. We'll explain that to you guys later on. Jordan here is a perfect example of junior deputy. He's been with our program since inception. Before that, Lieutenant Bill Wright, he's the one that puts this program on and always has. He brought it up this morning in the class. Jordan started with the school, with the Explorer Post program. And then in law enforcement, he went on to compete in different areas very successfully. He's a volunteer fireman. He's graduated now, and he's fixing to go into the Army. And then hopefully he's going to come back and be a deputy someday, we hope. Gideon. This man can clear any building you got. He's ready to go. He's got more tactical training than half our deputies. That's his world. I mean, that's his life. It really is. It'd be amazing if you could sit and watch him in action. But he is really into it and he's good at it too. But every one of these guys are going to be somebody to know someday.
Sheriff,
and I just want to thank them.
Sheriff, would you mind if we have each child from a young man, a young woman, starting with you, young man, just stand up real quick, say your name, and then you sit back down. We just go as fast as you guys want to. Don't be afraid to yell at us, kids.
Aries Gonzalez.
Excellent.
Aiden Ray Gonzalez. Victoria Sanchez. John Gonzalez. Morgan Brayden.
Leo Solis.
Tim Gonzalez.
Keep going. Let's keep going with our experts. You. Yes.
Just kidding.
No last name?
Excellent.
Megan Tallwater. Joey Gonzalez.
Jordan Gonzalez.
Thank you all for, especially the returning deputies, for continuing to volunteer and assist Sheriff and Lieutenant Villarreal and Sheriff and Lieutenant Villarreal. Thank you all so much for continuing to provide this resource to the community and to all the kids that are here today. You're going to have a great week. Every year we see the cadets come through, and every year by the end of it, when you come and tour the courthouse, you've grown. You're more interactive. You're not as nervous talking in public, talking to adults. Those are skills that are going to pay dividends in your life in ways that you cannot conceive of at this time. Commissioner, did you have something?
I just want to say that I'm always so impressed with these folks, and you see the transformation, the metamorphosis, if you will, from today to graduation. And like you said, to echo what you said, the confidence that you're going to have, you don't realize what it's going to do for you, like the judge said, the rest of your life. And when you go through the handshake class, when I was young, my daddy taught me to shake hands. It makes a difference. It makes a real difference on how you do it. And we'll get into that when we get into the class. We don't want to give away this secret squirrel stuff right now. Judge, I'll let it stop.
That's okay. Yeah, we don't want to. I know you're eager to get it.
I really am.
You're going to be the one, spilling the beans.
I know,
want you to do that now, so wait for that class, kids. But hey, would y'all be willing to, because it's something that we as politicians and as adults in this community really like, would y'all be willing to take a photograph with us real quick? Is that okay?
Why not?
All right, for free. We're not paying now. Come on up, y'all. It's like cutting off a line of ants. What are you going to do, Commissioner?
Hold on, bud.
Well, you give your deputies an hour and a half.
We might have to double it.
Maybe, put a couple of changes.
Don't worry, we don't bother him. Oh, close my in the hand. Yes. Exactly what I was going to ask you to do. Thank you. Let's, if you're shorter than the people that are in front of you, move in front of them. And if you're taller than the people behind you, move go the other way.
No.
Did you fit everybody in?
Yes, sir.
All right, squeeze in. We're all friends here.
It's okay to smile.
Are y'all not smiling?
I'm smiling.
Let's show them some
Do one more to smile.
We have a small class, ladies.
Can we do a goofy face one? Is that okay? Or are y'all not comfortable enough yet to not comfortable? Are we goofy or are we serious? Okay, serious. No smiling?
This is what
Smiling. Can we raise eyebrows?
Sir.
I'm smiling. I can't help myself. I'm just so happy. Good luck, y'all. Y'all want to get Excellent. All right. Have a great week. Great week. Have a great week. When do you let them play with guns? All right. Come on, guys. Remember, they point away from you.
Thank you. Our graduation is, I'm sorry, the 6th of July. Okay. That's today.
College game?
No, this time we're going to be.
Okay, for that.
They just wait. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. It's a good group.
I sent it to Lieutenant.
Oh, good, okay.
Anybody want to follow that? This is agenda item number 6, public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioner's Court has been first. Documentation on each item and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Discuss and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 8, approve tax assessor collector's request to hire a new fiscal year 2023-2024 part-time employee for the months of August and September 2023 pending line item transfer. I'll open this agenda item up. Line item transfer was just approved in our consent agenda, so I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 9, approve renovations to the Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 office building. Commissioner DeWitt, do you want to take the lead, or do you want to take the lead on this?
Let me give you some historical perspective, and Judge, I'll let you do whatever you need to do.
Oh, yes, sir.
Those of you that's never been to the community center in Pettus, that's where our JP office is. Prior to that, Ted Staples was our Justice of the Peace. He had a 10 by 20 building that he leased to the county for X number of dollars a month. Well, when he retired, that building was no longer available, so we had to do something with the JP office. So we owned the building in Pettus, so we said, let's move to Pettus. I have a lot of respect for what Robert Bridge did as our Justice of the Peace at that time. He looked at the building and said, you know what, there's really not a good place here, but I think I can take this broom closet and make it into an office. And literally, that's what he did. There were 2 broom closets he made into offices. Tiny, tiny, very small. They've operated here for ever since then, and that's been several years ago. Well, as things evolve, we need bigger space. So we looked at purchasing a building. We found a building in Pettus to purchase, $80,000. It looked real good until we had the inspection done, and we found termites the size of possums in it. And so we decided that probably wasn't a good way to spend taxpayer money. So then we contacted the Catholic Church. They had a building there that wasn't being used, and I contacted the Catholic Church, and it took them many months to get back to us. I just heard from them about a week or so ago. They said, they'll be happy to lease us this building for $1,000 a month. I said, thank you, but I don't think we're going to want to go that way. So I know Mr. Izagiri and Mike Scholler have gotten together, and they came up with an area inside the community center that will work to enlarge that area and close it in. And it's not going to detract from the kitchen facilities for fundraisers. It's not going to detract from the community center as far as the overall use of the center, because it's, as you go through a door, it's back to the right, and there's an offset in the wall that it's a natural thing just to enlarge that and put the office in there. And Judge, with that, I'll pass the historical perspective.
Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt. So as Commissioner DeWitt indicated, and as commissioners y'all see in your agenda packet, Mr. Izagiri got together with a couple local contractors and one almost local contractor to obtain bids and walk them through the project, gave them the specifications, and we received 3 bids back. The first bid in your packet is from George Cano. The second bid is from Prime Maintenance and Construction out of Alice, Texas. And the third quote is from Reliable Sprinklers and Construction, LLC. As you can see, Reliable is almost half the cost of Prime and Mr. Cano. After discussing the project and considering the usage, historical cooperation with the county work, so on and so forth, I believe it's in the best interest of the county that we look at the two higher quotes, and specifically it's my recommendation that we approve the work, award the contract to Mr. Cano for a total labor and material cost of $18,760. But I open the floor to discussion, debate.
I would ask, Mr. Gary, would this be your recommendation too, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve. That's all I need, sir.
Yeah.
Disapprove with comment? So just,
Hold on.
you know, without seeing.
Just real quick. We've got a motion and a second. Further discussion. Commissioner Olivares, you have the
Thank
floor,
you,
sir.
Judge. Are these bids comparable to each other? Are we going to get the same requirement by each bidder?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everything's all equal? It was kind of based on the information we received. We weren't sure if everybody was the same playing field.
Oh, no, yes, sir.
Okay, because there's a disparity in the price, but if you're good with that.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Cano's done work for the county for decades, so.
One thing that I discussed it with some folks, one thing that they recommended is that putting insulation in those walls. There may be some confidential information going on in that office with that justice piece, so that's a consideration. I think, Judge, even if we had to add on to the contract to do that, we should consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Izagiri, you could, depending on how the vote goes, could engage with prevailing entity or party that wins the bid to see if there would be a change in price or if that was already included in the quote.
Let me modify my motion to include that, Judge, that the motion is to approve $18,760 with an additional amount for the insulation if that's possible.
Amended
My
motion.
second.
Okay, I've got amended motion, amended second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, John. By the way, I guess a little bit of background too. Mr. Izagiri is taking contractors out there over the course of the last 18 months. Really, since I first came into office, we've been looking at this issue, trying to figure out a solution. And I'd also like to, once again, I know we've done it before, but I'd like to commend Judge Showalter for his patience and understanding as we try to figure out a solution to his office space issues.
And he was going to be here. He just texted me. He's holding court right now.
Yes, sir.
So he wanted to be here, but he has trust in what the students here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, y'all. Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 10, approved construction contract between B County and DMD Construction for the B County, Texas Community Development Block Grant Contract Number Colonial Fund Construction CFC 21-0478, Time and Water Supply Corporation and Wastewater Improvements Project.
So yeah, we had a pre-construction meeting. Everything went very, very well. So I'd like to make a motion.
Do we have the contract?
Yes, because
I think
the ones that are ready,
they're not ready
they're
yet.
not ready.
So,
We had that discussion.
yeah, so what's going on, Commissioner Olivares, in our public comment, it's not public comment, in our opening remarks, thank you, had indicated there was a pre-construction meeting. It was very, very productive. And one of the things that Commissioner Olivares and I expressed to GrantWorks was, and to the engineer on the project, is if you can get us your contract, because he thought he could get it to us last week. That meeting we met on Tuesday, right? Yeah, and Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember exactly, but they thought they could get it to us before the end of the week. So we put this on the agenda in the hopes that they were going to have that contract. But and I'm sorry, Commissioner, I failed to let you know that as of this morning, I've not knowingly received that contract from the contractor. So if you were to make a motion, I might recommend a motion to table.
Yeah, I'd like to make a.
Go ahead.
Just a thought. What about a motion to approve pending the final approval of the county judge and his signature? That way it won't have to come back.
Okay, good, good. I like that.
You want to proceed?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve pending receipt of the contract and approval by the county judge.
I'll second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And I assure you, commissioners, as well as the public, if there's any issues with that contract, we'll have to bring it back to commissioners for, so we'll make sure that it is prudent and appropriate in the best interest of the county before I move forward. Thank you. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 11, submission of Lone Star Environmental Clearance Letter. This is one that I added a few weeks ago. We had a concern raised as to the presence or lack thereof of mold in one of our county buildings. Again, Mr. Izagiri jumped through multiple hoops for me upon hearing that information. I thought it was incredibly important that we address it appropriately and professionally. It costs the county a little bit of money, but it's knowing is so much better than not knowing when it comes to mold. And so we did have our AC system and the building itself inspected and tested, and the conclusions that were drawn by our expert is that the air quality samples for mold came back clear, and they recommended that no remediation is needed at this point. However, and Mr. Izagiri, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if I say anything wrong and you want to provide additional clarification, you can. Even though the expert said there's no remediation needed at this point, we still brought in an entity to clean out the deck. Did we? I don't I'm not saying it. We didn't do it. Okay, thank you. Shake your head if I'm saying something right. Lead me. Mr. Izagiri. Right. So we did go ahead and performed a duct cleaning service to that building, just to try to allay any additional concerns that may be persisting in that building. And I'd open the floor to discussion.
If I could put some more historical context in this.
Yes, sir.
When I was community affairs director, we had a similar situation. We completely replaced all the air conditioning units in that building. Now, keep in mind, that was 20 years ago, but that whole system was new. Then later on, again, there was a concern, and all the floor tiles were taken out because it had asbestos in the floor tile. So this is not the first time that concern has come up. But I think that what y'all have done this time is totally exhausted any possibility that there's a problem.
Thank you, and we hope so. It doesn't, and I know this isn't directly in line with the agenda item, but if y'all would grant me a little bit of flexibility, our community affairs building is the old Doherty Library, which is, you know, almost a historical building in town. Certainly, my generation,
I remember going.
Maybe your generation too. Like, yeah. That's where I went to the library when I was a kid, so I remember it very, very well. It looks a little bit different than it did now, but the long story is that we have a persistent leak. We can't figure out exactly what the heck the problem is, because we put a new roof on this building 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and still in the back corner we're having some water coming in. So I will let Commissioners Ford know that Mrs. Cantu and I are looking at trying to figure out a way to potentially fund this summer building of a gabling of a roof, just to be done with it. We hate the idea of putting a roof over a roof that we just paid for a relatively short time ago, but this is a building, and B County has a space issue. We need this space. We can't just buy another building. We can't build another building. Those take time, are very cost prohibitive. And so we need a practical solution so that we can maintain the usability of that building. So we're going to be looking at that. Hopefully this summer we'll be bringing something that's reasonable back to Commissioners. Is there anything further? This isn't an action item, it's just a...
So I just want to thank you for taking the reins on that. And I know the people that work in that building greatly appreciate it.
Sir.
So, like you said, it's a serious issue when you start talking about mold or not.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, as minimal as it can be, it still scares people, you know, to where they may not want to come to work and whatnot because of that issue. And knowing that we've got a clear deal from the people that took the air quality and then
My pleasure. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Commissioner Lenny. Agenda item number 12, approve conflicts, disclosure, and waiver consent for multiple representation between B County and its legal counsel and Volkswagen diesel exhaust lawsuit. I put this on the agenda. I don't think it's necessary to go into closed executive session. If at any time, I'm going to discuss it with y'all briefly. If at any time any commissioner becomes uncomfortable with the nature of our discussion and would like me to consider bringing it into closed executive session, I'll go into recess and look at it and see if it's something that we can do. But the long and short of it is, several years ago, many years ago, in 2016, B County, along with a lot of other counties in the state of Texas, several other counties in the state of Texas, joined in a lawsuit in connection with, y'all may remember from the news at the time, Volkswagen was selling diesel vehicles in the United States, but they were fighting their emissions. And as a result of that, there were huge fines, and it's a big issue nationwide. Well, in Texas, there's been a state lawsuit. The state of Texas has sued Volkswagen, and there have also been many counties that sued Volkswagen as well. Two counties, two of the larger counties, Harrison and maybe Bear or Travis, or one of the counties around it, sued prior to the state of Texas filing suit. So their lawsuits are proceeding. B County, along with several other counties, filed suit after the state of Texas filed suit. There are legal issues. Bless you. That was the cutest little sneeze. That's interesting. So anyway, B County, and other plaintiffs represented by Baker, Woodring, and others filed suit after the state of Texas filed suit. As a result of that, under Texas law, there is an argument that the state of Texas's claims preempt the county's claims because our claims, we asserted our claims after the state of Texas asserted claims ostensibly on our behalf and on behalf of all counties and all communities in the state of Texas. So what our attorneys are asking for us to consent to right now is to consent to allow them to continue to represent B County along with all the other counties that they're representing in this later suit, which has been abated, which means we're on pause indefinitely, and that we likely will not be able to prevail ultimately as a result of this preemption issue. It will allow our attorneys to negotiate and represent our interests as well as the interests of other counties whose interests may be different, whose claims may be greater or lesser, to allow them to continue to work on our behalf. And to do that, it requires, because our interests are going to be somewhat dissimilar from other clients in this proceeding, each client has to consent to their continued representation of us and to waive any conflicts that might exist as a result of them representing, say, B County and Goliad County having two different, wanting to go after basically the same pot of money. There's no guarantee that any funds will ever be realized, any recovery from B County will ever be realized as a result of this litigation. In the event that we decide we do not want to consent to Baker Woodring's request, the next result is they would withdraw from representing us in the court case, and we would have to find alternative counsel to pick up and carry us forward. I've reviewed the agreement, I've reviewed the letter. I have no problems with it, and I recommend I would entertain a motion to approve this conflicts disclosure and waiver / consent from Baker Woodring.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? When it's that quick, I know I spoke too long. My apologies.
That's good information for me, just to understand.
The context.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Good. I remember when they came before the court in 2016 and told us then what was going on. It might take a while.
We're at 7 years now?
Yes,
6 years.
No charge to B County, but there's a possibility of money coming back to B County. It's hard to pass up the deal.
Yes, sir. I agree. No skin in the game by us.
Right.
There are no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, Jim. Agenda item number 13, approve memorandum of understanding between P County Sheriff's Office and the Coastal Bend College Police Department.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 14, approve state plan of operation between the state of Texas and the P County Sheriff's Office for the Law Enforcement Support Office, LESO, 1033 program.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 15, approve B County 4-H Arts and Crafts Day Camp at the Expo Pavilion at 9 to 11 a.m. on June 22nd, 2023.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Once again, for the community, that is a 4-H Arts and Crafts Day Camp at the Expo Pavilion from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on June 22nd, 2023. If you're a part of 4-H or you're interested in getting involved, reach out to your 4-H representative or call the B County AgriLife folks, Ms. Ball, and her team, and they'll get you all the information that you need. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 16, Hurricane Harvey Texas General Land Office GLO Community Development Block Grant CDBG status and project update. Commissioner Olivares, you have the floor, sir. Anything to update us on?
Thank you. Yes, we did meet in a meeting here with GrantWorks. The actual application has been submitted. So now we're waiting from GLO to see if it accepts all the information that was submitted. I've also been informed that typically this takes time, and also they may require some additional information from us, and at that time we'll address what those questions are. But bottom line is
Excellent. Any questions? Commissioner Story? Thank you, Commissioner Olivares. Anything further on this agenda item? And as I've said before, this is going to be a standing agenda item, so it'll be on the agenda every 2 weeks, unless I make a mistake, and that will be unintentional. Moving on to agenda item number 17, American Rescue Plan ARP status and projects. Commissioner Covitt, Commissioner Lenny, you'll have the floor.
Judge, it's scary when I start thinking. I've been thinking about this, and I'm beginning to think that we might want to relook at one of our ideas. And I haven't discussed this with the committee at all. The idea that we had was buying the material at Road and Bridge, redoing the parking lots at the Coliseum. With the workload that Road and Bridge has, with the equipment that Road and Bridge has, I'm beginning to rethink this, and we might want to look at going out for a contract separate and apart from that so we can get it done. They're swamped. They got roads they're working on, they've got culverts they're working on, they've got everything unimaginable. In order to get this done in a timely manner, and I'll take this before the committee, but I'm thinking we need to relook at this. I'm thinking about $800,000 set aside for the Coliseum parking lot. We can get a lot done with that going out on the contract. Just a thought. I really feel like that we may be putting too much on the Road and Bridge for them to have to do this in addition to everything else we're doing.
Yes, sir. Commissioners?
Yeah, just one quick question. Great point you bring it up, because sometimes it might be more cost effective going to a third party than trying to do it in-house. Plus, from a scheduling standpoint, you probably get it done a lot faster.
That's what I've been thinking about over the weekend, because they're working their tail feathers off, they're doing a great job, and to pile them up with more stuff is not prudent, I think, on our part.
Yeah, it's a busy summer.
And I'm seeing this with other counties. I've been visiting with other commissioners, and they outsource a lot of their work. I was surprised. I noticed they this went out, so it's going to be good.
Just what I made comments in the opening remarks about they got with Commissioner Mercer on the bathroom. And the reason why we were going back with them on that, we discussed it with them prior, and also the amount of money it's going to take to do that. So we got that back on his radar. As far as I assume that he's got the ads up for taking bids.
Yes.
For the EOC.
I believe so. I believe those went out like 2 weeks ago.
Right. So we should be hearing something within 30 days from that initial And that's really, oh, I did have a request, which we need to talk about in the committee from Ryan. And I talked to you about it, the portable repeaters.
Right.
And I talked to Chief Deputy Ronnie Jones about it, and he said that he had already submitted for a certain amount. He wasn't sure where that was in the process, because I talked about adding another one or two on that. And we may have to do that as a separate deal versus what he's already done. So,
If I could, Tricia, if you don't mind checking on that and see where that bid or whatever it is on those repeaters.
Okay.
We want to add one while we're doing it for emergency management folks. And if it's possible to put that in the queue as we're going along and not have to come back and go through the whole process again, I think it would serve us all very well.
Yes,
Please.
thank you.
Quick question, how many dollars are we talking about in the bathroom for renovation? Large amount, or they mentioned it's going to cost?
Well, there's different avenues. When we initially talked to him, it was the bones of that building are sound. So we talked about maybe making in the men's side, the women's side is much larger than the men's side. Renovating the inside of that, as well as either adding on to the men's side with another entry door, or using that same entry door and knocking out a portion of that wall to enclose an addition to that. So he needs to come and look at it again and determine which route would be more feasible to take.
Order of magnitude on dollars?
Nothing yet.
These renovations, well, yeah, I can answer that question. Anything further? Okay. And I tend to agree with you. There's no harm, and certainly Road and Bridge is going to be busy, and they have been busy. It's going to be a busy summer, and it has been a busy summer for them. So there's no harm, no foul, and I think in going out to see what we might get on the open market.
Okay, good test.
Yeah, be good to see where we're at. Thank you for bringing this up for all of y'all's comments. Anything further? Hearing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 18, approve Texas opioid settlement agreements. This is a very obtuse agenda item, but our attorneys, just recently we approved a opioid settlement agreement. I think it is a net recovery to the county of $17,000 payable over 5 years. Which I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but we are excited for that settlement. But our counselors in that particular lawsuit came back to the county last week and requested that we put a standing agenda item for the foreseeable future on our agenda, because they anticipate a waterfall, a cascade of settlement agreements flowing from this litigation in the near term. And so I tend to agree with them that we'll keep it there as a feeler, as a tickler, if you will, so that we're always ready to receive additional settlement proceeds. But there are no settlement proceeds or settlement agreements to present or discuss in today's meeting. So you'll expect to see agenda items 16, 17, and 18 remain on our agendas indefinitely moving forward.
Money coming in is a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
There are no executive session items on the agenda today. Move forward to agenda item number 19, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.